So happy you're here, Jess,
Hey.
because we're starting off with one of your favorites, Chris Hemsworth. I believe you dressed up as Thor one Halloween, didn't you, Jess? Of course, Chris
That
Hemsworth
would be
is
correct.
Thor. Chris Hemsworth is Thor, and he's Australian. And unlike a lot of Australian celebrities who moved to LA, he and his wife Elsa Pataki, with their 3 children, actually live in Australia. Now, while he has many celebrity friends like Matt Damon and John Krasinski, he says he likes living in Australia because the friends he has there aren't in the industry. And it's refreshing for him to not have to have like Hollywood industry talk all the time when he's hanging out with his buddies in Oz. So, what do you think of this idea of having friendships that are outside of your work life?
They're absolutely the reason I've been able to sustain in this industry. Because I'll be honest, coming up in this industry wasn't easy. I remember reaching out to several established reporters for mentorship or guidance, even just, saying, do you have time for a phone call or do you have time to, meet for a cup of tea? And didn't hear back at all. So coming up was a very lonely experience, and many things come into play. I think there's kind of this protection mode. This kind of, well, there isn't room for all of us, and I'm here, so I'm not letting anybody else in. So there's that, and really, because of my experience, it's really had a lot to do with the way that I am now, and that is I am so pro mentorship, and try to help anybody that reaches out because it's not what I had coming up.
It's true. I feel like for a long time, Marcy, there were so few seats for women at the table, particularly in our industry, that those who fought to get a seat really wanted to keep that seat. I feel like things are loosening up a lot more now because there's more opportunities for women in general. And I would say, shout out to all of you. I'm so grateful to have each and every one of you as not only my co-workers, but also my friends, because we speak the same language. And that is so invaluable to just sort of parse out how you're feeling on a day-to-day basis with each other. We get it. Having said that, it's also been very important for me to keep my friends from very diverse backgrounds. I have friends who are stay-at-home moms, friends who are artists, friends who are so far from this industry. And they keep me grounded because I will say a number of them were concerned when I first made the switch from being behind the scenes to in front of the camera. A lot of them were saying to me like, okay, be careful you don't succumb to all of the trappings that they'd witnessed in on-air personalities, the kind of narcissism that can go along with it. And I'll admit, I am more narcissistic now than I ever have been. So I rely on them to keep me grounded because not all of you are helping with that all the time. Got to say that. I love you, but sorry.
What are you saying, Sid?
Well,
what
there
are
was
you saying?
yeah. I don't know who to attribute this quote to, but somebody once said about show business, if I married somebody in the business, there would be too much competition. And that can be sort of applied to maybe friendships too, of friends in the industry. And I definitely have, of course, beyond you, you're not just my friends, we've become sisters through this whole process. But beyond you guys, I don't have many, just a few other friends in the industry. And I think maybe that is the whole thing of it. There is a lot of residual effects of not having enough jobs for particularly women in certain parts of our industry than there is before. And that has bred competition among women. It has bred suspicion among women. It has bred bad treatment of women trying to step on each other, maybe even sabotage one another. Sadly, in the early parts of my career, the worst treatment I received was from women. There was one boss who said to me early in my career, you will become nameless and faceless in this industry. And there was another woman who said, people in this industry, they're talking about you and they say you're very talented, but you have one problem. You're too ambitious. I mean, that is soul crushing for a young woman in this industry. So why would you ever reach out thinking, these could be my best friends? You're just thinking, holy cow, who needs enemies when you got friends like these? And I think that's made a lot of women in certainly very competitive industries a little, gun shy to be friends.
Wow. I do think this story, I've just been thinking about it, kind of presupposes that we're all our jobs. And I do think not just the five of us, but everyone is, so much more than that. But I have to say, coming from a different industry and coming into the game a little bit late, it's been a godsend that you guys are there for me as my friends. I feel like so many questions, and there'll be times when I'm sort of thinking out loud, and Simon will say, if I have like a dilemma, he'll say, why don't you ask the girls? That's what we call you here. I hope that's okay with you all. But why don't you ask the girls for their advice? And there's part of me that always butts against that, because I don't want to come to you sometimes with every problem, because I feel like you guys figured it out on your own to a certain degree. Like, you were able to come up with the answers. So I kind of want to do it that way as well, without like texting or calling you every 5 seconds with a question to get advice. But holy smokes, I am very grateful that you are there, let me tell you.
Text or call anytime, Jessie.
Anytime.
You are the breakout star of the social, Jess.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah, maybe in many ways we created you. This monster. I agree with you, Cynthia, in the sense of I do think particularly where Chris Hemsworth and people who are in the entertainment business, including us, are concerned, as storytellers, and actors are storytellers, talk show hosts are storytellers. You also need a diverse variety of stories, and you're not going to get that if you just hang out with showbiz people or people who know what you do, right? And then it is also important within the industry to have friendships, but on a granular level, you probably should have more friendships that aren't just with people at your status. And even in other industries, think of how beneficial it would be for more CEOs to have friends who are, like, I don't know, making minimum wage, to have perspective in order to be able to make decisions and tell stories. But, I was thinking, or I have been thinking about the entertainment industry a lot right now, because it's my job to report on it. And there are going to be so many changes coming out of the lockdown and the pandemic whenever we do. For instance, they're already talking about changing things on film sets. Let's say you have a lead actor, and the lead actor's contribution is critical to the production. They have to be at work every day. If they get sick and they're in every scene, then there's a shutdown, right? People can't shoot, they can't work. So measures are being introduced to even protect these actors, the lead actors, even more, including creating more distance between them and crew members. Like, crew members may not be able to approach lead actors without masks, without a certain amount of meters in between them. And it's going to create, worrisomely, even more of a hierarchy between the Chris Hemsworths and the lighting techs and the assistants. And I wonder how that's going to affect that kind of narcissism. In 2 years from now, we may be the people who are gossiped about in gossip magazines because we are so snobby and we refuse to interact with our crew and our camera people and our production staff. Imagine what a bigger monster Jess Allen is going to become.
No.
We will never let that happen. We would never.